Most common chats I have with Americans moving to France is about life here in France, how they're going to find the culture and the difference in living here versus America. But obviously, one of the main things is about their investments and their pensions and their overall financial planning. Now, there's three things that happen when I chat to clients about this. Number one, can you keep your investments and pensions with the same company? Can you keep your relationship with your advisor? And thirdly, what happens in the worst case scenario? Somebody dies. Number one, you may be able to stay with the same company. Some US providers will allow non-residents to keep their accounts. Some companies even have international desks. So ABC company in America, you've worked with them for 20 years, they have an international desk. We phone them up and say, we're moving to France. Can I keep my products with you? Yes, you can. You just need to move to our international team. Fantastic. However, a lot of companies won't. So they will give you 60 days to do a rollover or close your account down and move those assets elsewhere. So here's a situation that can happen if you don't take advice. I spoke to a lady about a year ago who lives here in France. She was in a real pickle because her and her husband are American, lived and worked in America all their lives. They'd bought a house in France 10 years ago with a view to moving here and retiring here. Fine so far. When they decided to move, they came to France, they sold up in America, moved here, and they were very happy. She decided to phone her pension company and say, by the way, just to let you know, we're now living in France. She did the right thing by speaking to her pension company and telling them that she'd moved to France. Now, the pension company gave her 60 days to move her account because she is now what they call a non-US resident, and they don't deal with non-residents. So 60 days, the clock has started. That lady then spent the next several weeks trying to find a company to help her do a rollover of her account. Unfortunately, she couldn't find a company in enough time, so her US provider sold her investments, closed her account, paid the taxes, and sent her a check for the balance. Imagine that situation. $1 million in your account. They sell out of positions that may have been at a loss. They pay the taxes due, and you get a check for $500,000. That is a tricky position to be in. Now, for us, it's a very simple fix. We do the rollover into another company that can deal with non-US residents, and we take over the account and we do the financial planning and advice. Very simple, something that we can solve quite easily. Number two, your advisor who's been with you through this journey for the last number of years. What happens when you become non-resident in the US and you move to France and you become resident here in France? Well, most people I speak to want to keep their relationship with their US advisor. Unfortunately, it's not possible. When you become non-resident, you need to take advice from someone who is licensed and authorized and qualified in the country that you move to. For example, you're an American moving to France. You've got all those fantastic US investment products that you've had for 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, and you think that you can keep those products, keep your same advisor, and move to France. But here's the problem. Your US advisor will have done a brilliant job, no doubt, but they're not licensed, qualified, or regulated here in Europe. They can't advise you anymore. And this often comes in on simple things like rebalancing portfolios. At the moment, I have a 50-50 split in my portfolio, half in equities, half in bonds. And that fits my risk profile. But when equity markets do well, as they have done recently, the equities go up, the bonds stay the same. Now we've got a tilted portfolio and we need to rebalance. The advice that's needed to do the rebalancing is regulated financial advice. Yes, you can keep your assets in America. Yes, you can keep your brokerage accounts and your IRAs and your annuities, but having an advisor who's based in France, who's qualified and licensed in France and in Europe, and who is qualified and licensed in America, that's where I come in. Thirdly, probably the biggest one of all, is let's assume a situation where husband and wife move to France. You've each got retirement accounts, you've each got investment accounts. You move over to France, life is good. But unfortunately, the husband dies. How does the wife take those benefits from the pension or from the investment account? More often than not, we need to set up what's called an inherited pension account. It's a new account to receive those monies so that they can be paid to the beneficiary, to the wife. Now, if you're in America, your US advisor can do that. Run of the mill, everyday stuff, easy peasy. Move to France, you're now setting up a new policy for someone who's non-US resident because they live in France. It's almost impossible, but again, something that we do, thankfully, not regularly, but we do this type of advice time and time again. So can you keep your investments with the same company? Possibly, or we move them to another provider. Can you keep your same advisor? Probably not. And if the worst were to happen, is there a solution that you can help with? Yeah, that's what we do day in, day out.